Welcome to Tanya Outside In, Perek Kaftes. It's our second, it's the second part of the class, but I do actually want to just jump back to the beginning of the chapter and to unpack it because I just learned this today with my dad, and I don't think we did it justice the last time we learned it. So let's try and do that. So Perek Kaftes, it's on page 70. Let me just grab myself a glass of water. Okay. Um, yeah. So I want to bring our attention to two things that are four things. Okay. We're talking about the Benoni, yeah, which is basically us. Yeah, don't ever let that when you take this book on like a baby level, yeah, then we're called the Russia of a Tovloi. Yeah, because we do Averas every now and again, but we're not. We're Beinoinim him. Even though it says a Benoni never did an Avera and he never will do an Avera. Yeah, we are all Beinoinim, meaning meaning that our default experience is one of not doing Avera. That's what it means a Benoni. It doesn't mean that in the future you're not going to do you're not going to do an Avera, but right now your default experience is that you wouldn't do an Avera. Yeah, you have an aversion to an Avera, not because you're like so aligned with God, but for other reasons. You don't want to feel disconnected. You don't want to, Shan Gabriel, you don't want to, yeah, you don't want to let yourself down. Whatever it is, yeah. You don't feel you don't want to let Hashem down. Okay, even not wanting to let Hashem down is not the level of the tzaddik because the tzaddik just is aligned with God. It's not that he doesn't want to let him down. It's just him and God are one anyway. So we're talking about this matzah of the Benoni. Remember, the Benoni is a human being serving God. The tzaddik is already, to call him a human being is a little bit. That's already become a little bit blurred because he's more like an empty vessel which God is pouring through. Whereas the Benoni is very much a human being serving God. So now the Tanya says that there's something that happens to the Benoni frequently, okay, and it's called Timtum Alev, which means the blocking of the heart. Yeah, like atum means like if you have a itum, you have your drain is blocked. Yeah, and someone who does itum like waterproofs the he waterproofs the roof, yeah. That's called itum, like to seal it with a S. Um, and then he says, kind of unnecessarily, he says like a stone. So he says every now and again, so quite often the Beinonis, the Beinoni has Timtum Alev, yeah, block it a blocked heart, and it's like a stone. Great. Now that manifests as two bayot, two problems. Anyone remembers the two problems? He can't daven and he can't
He
be
gives in, he can't overcome temptations for mutter.
biduk. Yeah, he can't daven and he can't say no to himself for things that are permissible. Remember, he's a Benoni, so he's not struggling against what's forbidden, but what's permissible, he can't. Like you know, you should try at least once a day to not to not say something that you want to say. Very good. Very, very good for you. Yeah, extremely good for you. Once a day at least to just bite your lip. Even though there's nothing wrong with it. It could even be quite funny. Yeah, whatever it is. Just to say
Nano mission?
it exactly. Is that a nano mission? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly a nano mission. Exactly. Comes to your mind to say something and you can say to yourself, you know what? I'm gonna bite my lip. That's funny. It might even get a laugh. Yeah. But I will gain more by saying no to myself. Yeah, he can't do that. He can't do. I mean, that's a very most people can't do that anyway. But this is the problem with the Benoni, yeah. That in this situation, that number one, he can't pray, and number two, he can't say no to himself of what's permissible. Now, what is this?
Is that like when we're depressed, when we have a hard time like controlling ourselves, we want to eat more, we want to just is it like depression? What does that feel like?
So 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 this is this is what I understand it to be. To call it depression, it is. I mean, it is depression in a sense, but that's really Utzvus. Yeah, Timtum Aleiv and Utzvus. Timtum Aleiv in this situation is more alluding to egoic attachment, to identification with stuff of this world. Remember, the MO of your Nefesh Bahamis is to be. It wants to be in the most solid, real way it can. And that accounts for everything that we become identified with. Whatever you identified with is your Nefesh Bahamis striving to be more. So why do people? So I remember Rabbonim in my old yeshiva telling me that the desire of the human being, like the desire that we have to like to support a football team, yeah, or or whatever sport you care about, yeah, that to be a fan of one of these teams, yeah, is the soul's desire for bittul, experiencing, itself like that's what. But it isn't the Nefesh of Bahamis doesn't have any desire to be bottle whatsoever. It's the opposite. The desire of the Nefesh of Bahamis is to be as real as possible. That's its desire. So it borrows solidity from the football. Like for example, the Yankees is a baseball team, yeah. The New York Yankees, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So now let me ask you a question. What's more real, you or the New York Yankees? Forget your dream.
Me.
So that's it. Let's say you're just a human being, yeah? You're definitely not more real than the Yankees. The Yankees is a spiritual, the Yankees is something spiritual. What do I mean? Well, look, how many players are on the baseball team?
I think
30.
20, yeah.
I'm
30,
just thinking number.
I was at 24, but it's probably in somewhere in that range.
whatever. Let's say you got 30 players on a baseball team. Yeah, that's a surprise to me. But now you could switch out every single one of those players and you'd still have the Yankees.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. You also remember the Yankees probably were put together in like the early 1900s, yeah?
Mhm.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, well before you were born.
And
And
well after we die.
exactly. Yeah. So what is the Yankee? You could also what's the name of their stadium?
Yankee
Yankee
Stadium.
Stadium.
Why is it called that? I'm joking. So you could take them out of the Yankee Stadium and put them in a different stadium and change all the players, yeah, and even change their uniform, and they'd still be the Yankees.
Wow. They exist above time and space.
It's a spiritual thing.
Right.
The truth is, everything's a spiritual thing, really. But this is, and it's not only is it a spiritual thing, it's really, really real. It's so real. Yeah, that's this fascination with connecting to to an ideology. I mean, Islam is even better than the Yankees. It's the same thing completely.
It's weird to call it more real. A
What?
spiritual thing is more typically, I understand, I would think of a spiritual thing as more intangible. What do you mean that it's more real?
It's more real, meaning it's long. It's bigger than you. It's more eternal than you. It's more
Omnipotent.
om,
Omnipotent.
omnipresent. It's much more than you. You could move it anywhere
More
in the world, it would still be what it is.
bigger than me. It's bigger than me.
Bigger, so let's say it's bigger.
That means more real. That means more real.
Whatever, that's my, it's just English. You can say what you want. I'll
Okay.
say it's more real. Yeah, I'll say it's more real. That's why you want it. And that's by the way why I think it's called real estate. Because that's also really real. Yeah, that's another thing
Tangible. It's
people.
tangible.
Well, it's definitely more tangible, but it's really real. I use the word real. Interesting, because I had somebody this morning arguing me on that. But okay, whatever you want, whatever word you want to use it. Yeah, it's definitely bigger, more. And so we identify with these
There's
things.
other.
We identify with these things to make us more. You with me?
Wow, nice.
Everything, whether it's your car, yeah, like for example, at Sadiq, if someone scratches his new car, yeah, what would be the response of a Sadiq?
Low key, nothing or low key.
It'd be something like that's a shame. Okay, weiter. Look at it's not nice that there's a scratch on this beautiful looking car, but okay, yeah. Whereas somebody who's identified with his car. Yeah, that means that the boundaries of him and the car have merged, and now that scratch on the car is really like a scratch in his body, and it drives him crazy. It's really difficult for him, yeah. But the idea of identification with something, yeah, means that the reason why you're doing it is to solidify yourself, to make yourself more real, yeah, which is that is the avoider of the nefesh habahamis. Okay, the metaphor for that is ossification, hardening, becoming more solid is a nice way of understanding it, yeah. So Timtum Alev, which he says is Ka'even, is alluding to the matzav where a man has become egoic. He has fallen in the Benoni, who is a human being serving God, has fallen into his human being kite. And it could even be that part of his ossification process, part of his hardening process, is his avodas Hashem. I'm serving God. That could actually be adding to his hardened heart. You with me? I am a servant of God. Yeah, my God. By the way, where did we learn this? I don't know with Melech David. Yeah, the shame. What's shame? What's the shame of Yehuda Tatar of Mal? What's the shame of God? What's the name? What's Hashem's divine name that relates to Malchus?
Otherness.
Yeah, Shem Adnas. Yeah. And Havaya relates to Yehuda Ilah, which is Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And Baruch Shem Kvod is connected to Shem Adnas. So it's very interesting when you think of the grammar. Havaya, it's like you can have Elokeinu, Elokeini, Elokai, whatever it is, yeah? You can't have Havaya belong to anything. Yeah? But Adnas is really, I'll say the word Adonai means my lords, even. My. It's from my perspective. That's exactly what Yehuda Tatar is. It's my relationship to him, not about his relationship to me. From him to me, Hashem lo shanisi. Yeah, there's no Ani Hashem lo shanisi. I never changed. There's nothing. But from us to him, that's why it's Shem Adnas. It means my God. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent. The point is that we are the hardening of the heart, which the Rebbe says here is Ke'even, is to do with our identification with the things of this world. Now, why does that express itself in these two problems? Praying and saying no to yourself. It's so elegant, it's so sophisticated. So when a person has become ossified and hardened, yeah, and egoic, he's become more of a me, more ani, yeah. Well, he's going to have a hard time praying. That doesn't mean he won't be able to say Shemona Esrei. It means really praying. Really praying means, yeah, that you know that you are at the complete mercy of the Ribono Shel Olam, that you have got zero power and he has got 100% power. That's the mindset of tefillah. That's what tefillah is. I'm not in control whatsoever. You, Ribono Shel Olam, are 100% in control. So how can a person daven properly when he's fallen into an egoic trap where he's not nothing at all? In fact, he's very real. In fact, he's super real. You with me? So Timtum Alev, which is Ke'evan, which means the heart has ossified because he has identified with things of this world to make him more real. Number one is going to result in an inability to pray. Why? Because well, how can I throw myself at the mercy of a bigger being than me? Look at me. I'm the man. I'm real. I can help myself here. Yeah, so it punctures his ability to pray. And so see if you can answer this one. Why does it mean that he can't be Makadish himself in what's mutter to him? Why can't he say no to holding back that thing that he wants to say? Or why can't he just close the fridge door instead of jumping in and eating?
Because he is hungry.
Exactly. He is the hunger. He's identified with the taiva. We've said this so many times that there's a guy says, I am angry. Yeah. You know what you should do when you're angry and you say, I say to myself, I'm so angry. Yeah. Change the grammar a teeny little bit and it puts it more in perspective. Well, let's see. How would you say it? If you wanna get out of it, yeah, and you want to label it correctly, what would you say?
I feel angry.
I feel anger.
I
I have anger in me.
or there's anger in me. Yeah, good. Both of those. But this is if you can't do that, yeah, because you're really angry, you can go the other way, yeah, and you can say instead of I am angry, you can say I am anger, and that will help you dissolve it as well.
That's why you can't tell them to calm down.
Exactly, but by calling yourself on it, and instead of saying I am angry, you say I am anger. That kind of shocks you back into the game. I'm not angry. I'm small. I can deal with this. So that's. But that is the point. What Gabriel said, exactly the point is that the person can't say no to himself because he's identified with the taiva. So it's not that he wants to eat a bar of chocolate. There is no he. There's just the want to eat a bar of chocolate. There's no he to stand against that want. See, generally, if we're in a good place, yeah, there's your wife does that thing and you want to shout at her, yeah, you want to say something nasty to her. So what happens is it's not that you want to say something nasty to her. It's there's a nasty thing that wants to be said to her. You're not in the equation. You're not there. Until you have claimed enough presence to look at that desire and say, in me, there is a desire to say a nasty thing to her. I'm not going to do that. But if you don't create that separation, what's that called? I know, Gabriel, you'll say. What do we say that in Hebrew, in the Lashon of Tanya, what do we say to disidentify? What's the Lashon of disidentification?
Can I say it?
Masiach Das. I'll beat you to it.
Wait, Shmuel, I just told that to somebody who's very well versed in Tanya. He said that's a nice word. He said, but Hesek Hadas is never a good thing. he said that's not really what it means. Do you have is that for sure the way the
Hesach
Tanya
Das
explains it?
says that Mashiach's not going to come with Chesach Das.
But that actually means a lack of das, a lack of consciousness. I'm just asking who's someone I know who's very he just was like he's like it's a nice word, but he said that's definitely not what Hesach Das means. Where can you show me so I can show it to him?
I mean, every time you see it in Tanya, it says you must be Masich Das. It's not a negative thing at all. It depends in which context it's in. That's not true. In the Tanya, he says it in a very. He says you have to be Masich Das from the Taiva, push it away, B'shtei Yadayim. In 1 minute.
Means this identification and not lack of.
And Miyad Ba'alisai, yeah, the minute it goes up is in chapter 12. Yeah, El Miyad Ba'alisai L'Sham. Yeah, the minute that taiva comes up into his mind, Doichechu B'shtei Yadayim, Masir Dato Miyad. Push it away with 2 hands, be Masir Das. It's not a negative thing. Depends in which context. But
what do those words mean, Mesiach Das? What do they mean specifically?
It means to remove. And
Mesiach Das. To remove the identity, is that what it is?
Exactly, to disidentify, to extract your sense of self from X.
And that's not when Mashiach comes?
No, that's my thought. That
I thought that's like a well-known thing. Like the only time Mashiach comes when
I say it like this, yeah. This is on the record as well, and I'm not scared of saying anymore. Is all the crazy things that we've identified with, yeah. Whether it's that the Rebbe is Mashiach, whether that Rabbi Nachman is the chosim of whatever it is, yeah, and Uman is everything. Whether it's Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, yeah, whether it's the Talmud Bavli, whether it's your Rebbe and the socks that you wear, yeah, whether it's your the fact that your wife has to be able to wear the long shaitel because it's your God-given right, or whatever your shtick is. Whatever I basically spoke about all of Klal right now, yeah. Whatever is your shita, yeah. When we're Mashiach Das and we disidentify, Mashiach's coming. Whether it's the Rebbe or whether it's Uman or whether it's Yishuv Yisrael or whether it's being neged the Tzionim or whatever your shtick is, yeah. Whatever your shtick is, yeah. When you extract yourself from your shtick, Mashiach's like, okay, boys, I'm here. Let's get the show on the road, guys. Yeah, so that puts it, and I think it's a good vote because it puts us all in the same position. Every Yid is in the same place. We've all got caught up in our own shtick, yeah, and we have to extract ourselves from whatever shtick we're in, and that makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. That's the story of Avram Avinu. He was able to extract himself from his shita. Yeah. And you have to have a shita. And the funny thing is, and this is the really funny thing, is that if everybody was Mashiach Das from their shita, it might not look any different. You might still go to Uman and Rosh Hashanah. You might, I don't know about pictures of the Rebbe and shuls and stuff like that. That's a bit of that's already a doichik on halacha. But you could talk about the Rebbe the whole time for sure. Yeah, you could learn Talmud Bavli the whole time. You could be very, gung ho about, settling Eretz Yisrael. All the behavior could stay basically the same. We're talking about an internal like nituach, like a nasira, like just an extraction from using it as a way to make yourself more. It's instead of it being a way to make myself more, it's the movement of my neshama as opposed to the identity of my nefesh Bahamis. You with me? Yeah, Gabriel.
I had a guy who you and I both know, who said to me that he would rather his son is off the derech and he's being makarred by a Tzionistic type of group, and he said, I would rather my son be homeless by a Zionistic type of kiruv group. And he said, I would rather my son be on heroin and homeless in Tel Aviv than join the army.
Then join the army.
Now, yeah. Now, I I sold that over to someone at my Shabbos table. He said, I don't know about that guy, but that's not my God. My God doesn't believe in that.
Could believe in what?
And that it's possible that you would rather have your son be homeless and on drugs than in the army, right? But I think the truth is that maybe yes, maybe not. It just depends. Are you doing this for Hashem or are you doing it because of your shita? Again, exactly what you said. It could be really according that if you feel that Aliba the Emes and you've really gotten rid of your own identification, you feel that yes, the army is the most treif thing in the world, and that's Kneged Ratzon Hashem. So maybe that is what Hashem wants. But you got to be really clear when you have a hashkafa that's really harif against other people. You have to be really careful that that's not coming from Nefesh HaBahamis.
Yeah, you have to always be mahaher achrei, after yourself. You have to always speak Beloshen Efsha and be desperate to have someone prove you wrong. That you need to develop that kind of longing for just, well, explain to me otherwise, please. I'm ready. I'm ready to hear. Just explain to me why, yeah, and to be open to it. And that's just I'm just giving you like that's the way that you fall free of that. I remember that story from when I went to the kibbutzim in the south with that guy. It was a Chabad rabbi who. See, I always say that the Ahavas Yisrael is the ultimate, that's like the ultimate segula to ego dissolution is, genuinely loving other Yidden. Yeah, but from this guy from this guy, I saw that you could turn that into a shita as well. That could become your shita, and you can use that to create machlokes. You usually, nearly always, actually, generally without exception, is you'll know it's your shita when it's causing machlokasim, when it's constantly creating a period between you and other people, because that's the point. That's what the ego can't merge with anyone. It can't merge. It can't synergize. All it can do is swallow another. You with me? You got that? The ego can't merge with another. It can't merge with another. Why? Because it can't be vulnerable. It's got no humility to it. All an ego can do is swallow another. For somebody to be a team player, they must have at least a certain degree extracted themselves from ego.
That's why Ahavas Yisrael, when it's only connected, when it's only for some Jews, is really ego, right? If you only love non-Frum Jews but not other Frum Jews, that's a big problem. You know that the Lubavitcher Rebbe never said misnagdim?
He never said what?
He never said that. Lubavitcher Rebbe never said the term misnagdim to talk about Litvaks. He never called them misnagdim.
No, he just spoke about misnagdim, but not Litvaks.
No, he didn't call them misnagdim. He did not call them misnagdim.
Or who misnagdim?
Litvaks. I'm saying he didn't use that term. He didn't use the term.
Never used the term misnagdim?
No.
You sure?
I'll find out what he used. Yes, yes. I forgot the term that he used. It was a different term. But it's totally not about them. It's about their shita, but not about them. He wasn't turning them into an object.
That's what I've understood. Misnagdim is they are the people who use. It's not Litvaks at all. It's people who use their shita to create a break between you and them, which is ego. That is ego. That's what it calls. That is what being misnagid is. Misnagid means that I am making myself more real by creating a distance between me and you, and that's why egoic people and egoic entities are constantly in machlokasim. Constantly in machlokas. They need to be in machlokas. That's what George Orwell was getting to in 1984. About the fact that they, Ocean or whatever the place is, they need a war. There needs to be a war going on. like that, and that's what happens with America. The minute America separated from the, because America is an egoic entity, yeah, like everything else. The minute Vietnam was over, yeah, then Russia became the enemy, or whatever, Korea, then Russia. And then the minute the Cold War was over, then Iran became the enemy. Yeah, they need an egoic being or state needs an enemy. It needs it. It needs it. Anyway, Michael, so what were you gonna say?
Yeah, going back to the ego, that the ego can't merge. It can only swallow.
Yeah.
Is it another ego, or or what it's related to? But it brought to mind the expression for someone to swallow their pride,
I hear
because
that.
that's meaning if their pride is their ego, the only thing they can do with it is swallow it or be swallowed by it.
Yeah, they can either be swallowed, they can either I hear it. I hear it. But that's to swallow your pride. Yeah, I have to think about that. But but yeah, that's the point anyway. So now we've got the way the Rebbe did it. He did it in a few lines. He gave us a whole book in a few lines, literally a whole psychology book in a few lines. Is that the heart becoming blocked like a stone means that the person has become deeply identified with things of this world. He's fallen into an egoic delusion. What's it called when you have like a, not a delusion, like you have like an episode? He's fallen into an egoic episode. There's a better word for it. Anyway, but he's fallen into an egoic experience, and that is called his heart has become like a stone. Because that means you've become hard, you've become more real. That's the difference between the Hagav and the Tuler, yeah, a Tulas. That David called himself a worm, and the Meraglim called themselves grasshoppers. The grasshoppers have got a hard exoskeleton. They're hard. They crunch. A worm is squidgy. You can squidge it around, yeah? It's malleable. That's what we're trying to be, like worms, not like grasshoppers. We don't want to be hard. We want
Where
to
does he call himself a worm? In what context?
Ani to last. He says it until him.
Mhm.
I'm Ani lot ish Ani to last. Something I'm not a man, I'm a worm. Like in a very like,
Men are also squishy.
what?
Men are also squishy.
Not as squishy as worms. But so number one is tip to Alave means that your heart has become like a stone, your heart being a marshal for you, for the person, yeah? You've become solid. You can't move. And that's like, you know what that's like when you've got an employee, yeah? I had sometimes someone working for me and I wanted to get them to do a different project. And they basically said, you know, I can't do that. I'm like, what you can't do that? I'm your boss. I want you to do this for me. And this person was like, "Oh, and this person kind of let it, whatever." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. I need you to be able to, what did Muhammad Ali say? Float like a butterfly, yeah? You have to be able to move. You have to, you have to be malleable, yeah? That the ego can't do that. The ego's this. He's like a stone. He's stuck. He's hard. He's comfortable, and he can't break his comfort. He can't break it. That was the whole idea of going into the sukkah. Yeah, get out of the egoic house and get into a place that is not very is temporary. So he can't do that because he's become solid. He's become hard like a stone, and that means number one, you can't daven to Hashem because you don't really appreciate that there's a power more than you. And number two, you can't be Makadish yourself with what's mutter to you because you're identified with the taiva. Isn't that amazing? Like that in those few lines, just amazing, amazing wisdom that the Rebbe gave us. Okay, we'll hold it. Next week we'll carry on from where we left off the last week. Okay, Chazak v'yamatz.